Hello, 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 and welcome to the Open Book Besties show. My name is Misty Walker, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hey, Webster.
And today we are guestless,
Right. Without guests.
and we are flying by the seat of our pants as usual.
Always.
And okay, I wanted to start out because this weekend is the Street Vibrations uh, motorcycle gathering. So my town is being overrun by upwards of 50,000 bikers. Like,
Amazing.
I can hear them. Like, my walls are rumbling, and I live in the suburbs. So
Wow.
the freeway, and everywhere you go, it's just like chock full of bikers. So while we were parked at the gas station, me and my kids, I told them that I think I should go to this festival
Yeah.
because I write biker books. So like I'm involved in that world.
Uh-huh.
Do you ever forget that like you're not really involved in any of the worlds that you write about?
Yeah, I get that because you get so immersed in it that, like I think I'm a doctor now because I've written, some things about people's conditions and medical things.
Yeah.
Like you get to where you like know these things, like you feel like you can go talk to these people because, and I would
Yeah.
a bunch of bikers. That would be pretty awesome.
Right?
They would not want suburban mom Christy and Misty to show up with their dumbass questions.
They might, but you know what I was thinking is that it's like a festival, right? So downtown, they like cordon off this section where everybody just like parks their bikes down the rows and then they all like congregate and there's like booths and food and stuff.
Ooh.
So don't you think that I should have a booth next year
You should. And do
to
it
sell
all,
my biker books?
yeah, do it all Royal Bastards themed stuff.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I could even have like merch and stuff.
Yeah. And I bet you they'd buy it, especially
Do
when
you
they find
think?
out that, yeah, yeah,
I don't know if I'd be brave enough, but man, I think it's a good idea.
that's really cool. Maybe I can just convince my husband I need to fly out of town to go attend this.
And I told my husband this, and he said, "You are a suburban mom with two kids. You just write bikers. Like, they don't want you there."
You're not you're not someone's old lady.
I told him, I said, maybe I would find myself a biker. And
Yeah. Your muse.
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun, though. I mean, they're crazy. They like cut you off and zigzag through traffic. And
And well, that's not very nice.
no.
You would have to you would bring that suburban mom attitude to them and tell them, you better watch it, mister.
So that's what's going on with me this week and this weekend.
Well, cool.
I'm trying to stop myself from becoming a biker babe.
Well, you don't have to. You can go do it. I support this.
I support you coming here and yeah, we can do it together.
I know. I've got to figure out a way to, he's never going to listen to this, so it's okay. I have to figure out a way to convince my husband to let me leave the nest where, because he won't think that
leave the bubble, the Webster bubble.
Yeah, because he's, I might get kidnapped or taken.
You don't like leaving the bubble either.
I don't, but every now and again, I think it would be fun to do something, even for like a weekend or something.
Yeah.
But I'll have to work on it. Maybe if it starts closer to home and then I could branch out further and further.
Yeah. That's why we should do the retreat, because that would be like a good, if we did a writer's retreat, like where were we thinking? Arkansas?
Yeah. And I was talking to my friend Erin, and she is like a super planner. Like she like plans things and she does all this stuff, and she just I mean, she's like the adult version of us, and
Mhm.
but she's super cool and fun like us too. And like she says that sometimes like her and her friend will go and get like an Airbnb, like this $1 million home just to stay for the like 2 days or whatever. And it's like, it's like it's pretty affordable, but they will go and stay there and like live this luxurious life while they work or whatever.
Yeah.
But just for a vacation. I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Anyway, that would be fun to do. And then
That would be like a good test, to see if he
and
can make it without you.
right. And for me, I feel like if you guys can just get me there, I will like have a like we will have just a blast because I can like figure out all these things we're going to do while we're there and organize like a little like we're going to do this on this day and this on this day and just be fun and like really awesome. It's just getting me there.
Yeah. I
But,
mean, if we book it, you wouldn't really have a choice, right?
right. Yeah. And if it was in Arkansas, I mean, that's only like 4 hours away. So
Yeah.
you do that.
All right. Jessica and I, JD Hollyfield and I need to get it together.
Work on it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I thought maybe we could talk about some writing stuff today. Process, and I found some good questions for us to dive into.
I am so into it because it seems like recently there's been a lot of chit chat on TikTok and places like that where people are very like curious about the process, and other authors have lots of questions for other authors like ourselves. And so I think it's cool. We can maybe answer some of the questions that have been on their mind.
Perfect. So the number one thing that I've been seeing on TikTok lately, there are a lot of authors posting negative reviews about other books or talking badly about other authors. And I thought maybe we could dive into that a little bit, maybe like the professionalism aspect of being a writer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's sometimes is hard for authors who are transitioning from reader
to writer.
And like for myself, like I was blogging beforehand, so I was, I had my opinions on books and whatever, and it was a little more, I could be a little more vocal because that's just the way it was. But then whenever I transferred over into being an author, it was kind of like it didn't sound well coming from me anymore. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Yes, I still had opinions about certain books and things like that, but if I didn't particularly like it or whatever, I just kept it to myself at that point because even if that's just my opinion and we're all allowed opinions, it still almost comes out as you're just being condescending or because if you're both in an author position and you say bad things about a book, yes, you didn't like it or whatever, but it almost makes it seem like you're trying to be like, my stuff's way better or whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of haughty or whatever. And it doesn't sit well with other readers that see that, because I've had readers a lot tell me all the time, I really like how you support other authors. I always see you supporting other authors. So they see this, they watch this, and they may not vocalize it if they see you being negative toward another author, but they will pull
pay
back.
attention.
Right. And so if you really are trying to write and make a career out of this, which I think a lot of people, even if you don't want to admit it to yourself, would love to make money writing books. So assuming that it's very possible you could, and you and I both know you can, don't mess up your business in any way by putting all that negativity out there, because it's just going to come back at you, and it's not going to help.
And you also are going to be burning bridges that you don't know. I mean, you may think that you're above whatever the other author and you're doing so much better or whatever, but that could change tomorrow.
Right.
And now you've burned that bridge.
Right. And it's not to say that you have to just say nice things about all the books, because that's not what we're saying. It's just there's a way, and yes, people have given me books, especially if it's like a new author or something, and they want feedback, and if I have time to read it or whatever. If I don't, if it doesn't sit well with me or whatever, I pretty much like a lot of stuff. But then, it's just point out what you did like, because it's somebody who's obviously trying to do the same thing you're doing. And I just don't feel like it's our place to publicly go out there and tell how terrible we thought their book was. I just don't think it is.
Yeah. Well, and I recently read that Lindsay Beck's book. I'm going to use her as an example because after I just gushed to her about how much I loved it, she was like, you're just saying that. Like, you're not, you're just trying to be nice. And I told her, I was like, I don't go out and say I loved a book if I didn't really love it. I will either like try to fade into the background, but I would never.
Right. Yeah. And, you just, neither you or myself, we don't go out there and just say we love everything, because we don't. But, nobody knows us as people who are rude and write hateful things about books either. We just, if we don't like it, we just keep it to ourselves. Or, maybe they weren't. I mean, I don't even know. It's just, it's a frustrating thing to me when I see other people doing it. And I
think it's just tacky, really.
Yeah. And like I had seen something on Instagram the other day, and it was another author who had read one of my books, and they had left a not so good review. I mean, it was just like, very like, it was like a 2 or 3 star, but it was kind of just like meh, and just like, I don't, and I was just like, yay, that made me feel wonderful. Like, you tagged me and everything. Awesome. And so it's like, and not that, I mean, it's just out of human nature to protect yourself. Like, you're probably going to be less likely to want to, help out that other author the next time, because you feel almost like, well, they don't like me. They don't like my stuff. They don't like me enough to go out there and really push this to their own platform about how much they don't like me or my book. So it's almost like you, even if that's not their intention, and they're just, oh, I have my own opinion and I'm going to tell everybody, even if that's their purpose, still as the recipient, you still feel that way.
And you're going to remember that name for the rest of your life.
And so it's not that it's like, I don't know. And with, it's almost like whenever it's just readers, I can take their 1-star reviews, because, they're doing that's what they do. But, and it's not like I'm demanding, 5-star reviews from every single author. Like, I don't want that either. I just feel like it's just, I don't know. Obviously, it gets me upset talking about it.
It would really hurt my feelings if another author. I feel like we should all just be supporting each other, even if we don't love each other's work, because that's going to happen. Reading is subjective. Everybody has different tastes and they want to read different things. So no, it doesn't hurt my feelings if someone didn't like my book, but if they went out on social media, I just think that is just a really tacky move.
The moth trying to get me.
I was going to say, you're like flailing around like a fish over there.
The moth coming.
And you look a little bit horrified too.
Well, and it's from a person who has seen it like on a big scale, like with The Wild, and had a lot of people openly saying, what a terrible book.
Oh yeah.
That it really is like, you do remember those things. You do remember who was kind to you, or, I had lots of other authors who don't read those kind of books or whatever, but still were very supportive. So it doesn't, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things. It's obviously a touchy subject with me. Like, I just feel like it's just not a good business practice. And yes, this is a business. Like, we
Right.
are a brand, whether we like it or not. Whether, a lot of people say stuff all the time like, well, I can have my own opinions and I can do whatever I want because this is me, this is my life. And it's like, okay, that's great, have that thought, but know that that attitude is going to impact your business. It will.
Right. It's going to turn readers off.
Right. So you can't have that attitude plus also think, okay, it's never going to touch my business or hurt my business at all, because it will. And so you can't, you just have to, it's just one of those things. Like, are you going to treat this like a business and really be professional? I mean, like, I just feel like when we're doing our business, we should just put our best face forward and be friendly and nice, and and then save all the drama for the books. And
and your bestie.
Yes.
That's when you drop into someone's DMs, complain all you want, say all the terrible things you want to, and then you're done.
Right. And then a lot of times you might be like a little bit frustrated, annoyed, whatever, irritated about a book or whatever at that moment. But like, if you give yourself 24 hours, by the next day you're like, oh, I'm over it. So it's like, don't ever post anything when you're mad, or don't ever like get swept into the current of the latest drama and get on the bandwagon of also making the post and also making their amount thing known, because it doesn't end well.
It's not a good look.
Right.
But it also reminds me the 24-hour rule. Mabel, my daughter Mabel, and we have that same rule when she wants to buy something. So I think it just like works all around. Every time she's like, Mom, I found this, I really want it. Say, okay, you need to sleep on it, wait until tomorrow. If you still really want to spend your money on it, then go for it. So yeah, I think the 24-hour rule is good for a lot of different aspects of life.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to think through what you're going to say or do before you do it, and make a decision, maybe talk to somebody or whatever. So, but that was a long tangent for that.
So the next thing that I've been seeing on TikTok is there's a lot of new writers, or aspiring authors, I should say. And the question going around is, if you have only enough money for a cover designer or an editor, like you have to pick one if you want to get your book out. Tell me what you think.
Which one I would spend my money on?
Yeah.
An editor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like, I mean, you could almost just slap text on a black rectangle and, and be having this mysterious book with, the title by so-and-so. And then you've got this amazing, awesome book, you know what I'm saying? And as long as you've got it all edited and it looks crisp and clean on the inside, then, I mean, that's what I'd spend my money on.
That was my original thought too. And then I saw somebody say something that changed my mind.
Really?
Yes, because she said, if you have a solid story and an amazing cover, you can draw readers in and they'll buy the book based on the cover. And as long as your story is solid, they will skip over typos. I mean, obviously, it couldn't be a train wreck on the inside. It would have to be, throw it through some beta readers and stuff.
Yeah.
But, and I tend to agree with that now. I think that readers will, if they have the knowledge base to even be able to pick out all of the different mistakes, I think that they would ignore it if the story hooks them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like especially proud of my product.
Right. Well, yeah. And then I guess that it makes me think of a couple of books that I kept seeing on Amazon. I kept skipping over and kept skipping over and kept skipping over and kept skipping over because the covers were like silly looking to me or whatever.
Yeah.
And one, I'm not going to mention it, but there was one that I laughed. I thought it was a joke. And then finally, I finally just bought it because it kept popping up and it actually did sound interesting on the blurb. And so I was like, but this cover is so bizarre. And I ended up reading it and it was like amazing. And I went down in a deep dive for this author and became a super fan. So, and then same thing.
Who is it?
I don't want to say.
I know you don't want to say, but tell me later.
You definitely have some signed books, and you've probably I might have ordered you some one time for your birthday or something.
Oh,
so
yeah. Okay, I know.
But yeah, and then another author that I really absolutely love that I gush about all the time. Same thing. And also even like my Foxhole books.
Yeah,
like,
the Foxhole, like the cover is very plain.
Right, you wouldn't expect the kind of story that's in there. So I could absolutely see how, and it took me a minute to be like, wait a minute, what are these books? And it wasn't until other people's artwork for that story, like on Pinterest, that's actually what drew me in, because I was like, wait, this is an MM story, like, but nothing about the cover would have dragged me over to read it.
So did I convert you to my way of thinking?
Yeah, I think
a little bit. The next thing that I've been seeing a lot, and I made a TikTok as well, is about imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that stops me from continuing stories. It stops me from like staying true to the plot that I had in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It stops me from doing a lot of things because I'm always second guessing myself and I'm always thinking that I'm wrong or.
Oh, and I think we kind of talked about something the other day and you were like, ooh, blah, 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 blah.
Like, yeah. I messaged you because I knew that you would kick my butt into gear because I have this plot in my head of how I want it to go, but it's taboo. It's scary for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that you would kick my butt into gear and you did.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I just figured, those kind of things do well. People respond to them. So even if it's some negative response, there's still going to be a lot of excellent response. So,
yeah. Do you suffer from imposter syndrome a lot?
Yeah, in different ways. Like for me personally, like, I feel like, oh, I'm proud of my stories. I feel like I'm not afraid to write certain things or whatever. But where my imposter syndrome lies is, like who really, like, I'll just even doing a TikTok, like, oh, here, let me help you authors, blah, blah, blah. And then I think to myself, well, they don't want to hear about me. Who am I to even think that they want to hear about me? Like, who am I? Like, get off your high horse, Chrissy. Oh my gosh. And then it's just like, they'd rather hear like from E.L. James or, like, who are you? They don't care, And so I think it's like that kind of, the bug's getting me.
If you're listening on the podcast, I so wish you could have seen what just happened.
It's a moth. I should not be this afraid of a moth, but yes. Anyway.
That's so funny.
And then also not necessarily imposter, but like I guess like I don't compare like I want to, if that makes sense. I don't even know what that is, but like I'll see other people and their business prowess and I'll think, dang, they really got it together. They are so smart. They know all the things. I want to be like them and I don't know how. And I just want to be exactly like them because they're so smart and so successful. And I can't like wrap my brain around it. And it's frustrating. But I feel like that just comes with time. And, the desire, like I want to be that way. So I'll keep reading up and researching and learning and observing, and maybe one day I'll be that way.
Yeah. Well, and you had a hard time when you were releasing Pause to Prolific.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Because you were worried that nobody would find anything helpful in there. But what happened?
Yeah. A lot of people bought it and they loved
Tons
it.
of people messaged you.
I was so surprised by that. And I was like, oh my gosh, and it wasn't like a how to, it was more of just a stay motivated and, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know if that would be helpful, but apparently it was.
It was to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go down. I have good questions to ask authors is the article that I found.
Cool.
If you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be? Like, think about baby author Christy. One thing
I would say, oh my God.
That was a hard one.
Yeah, I don't know what I would even tell myself. I think I would tell myself to keep my crap more organized. Like all my books, all my ways of doing things, all my systems, because coming in after the fact and trying to reorganize all that stuff is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And like I see other authors like that I know that have like spreadsheets right from the get-go, and they know like where their book is, what platforms, what the ISBN number is, if it's in foreign translations, if it's got a hardback, like it's like all in one place, and it's just very neat and organized. Or like when they're going to do a new release, and they know that on this day they're going to do a pre-order announcement, on this day they're going to do a teaser, and on this day, and like just all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, like I'm trying to figure this out, like, how 7 years into the game.
Yeah, 120 books later.
It's too hard. Like I wish at book one I would have implemented a system or found someone with a system that I could replicate and then make my life 10 times easier later.
Yeah.
So that was mine. What about you?
Of course, what you said, because I've only been doing this for 2 years, but I did not do any of that to start out with. And also, I told myself that I would keep a record of character names that I've used, that I want to use. Like, I didn't do that. And, I'm not that far into it, but it's still too daunting for me to go through all of my books and write down all of my character names. So I'm absolutely positive I repeat them. Not like main characters. I mean, I got that covered, but
you might consider like hiring somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Create like a series Bible or a catalog Bible,
Yeah.
and like just a set fee or whatever, or I'll send you all these signed paperbacks or something. I bet somebody would want to do it. They'd be up for the challenge. Somebody
That's true.
Ridiculous, and
before I have 120 books.
Right. Or even just like focus on like one of your series that's most popular right now and then move on or whatever. So
yeah, I should ask my reader group.
Yeah, I bet you somebody might, even if you divided and conquered and it gave everybody a different book to go do, and had the same form for everybody.
We'll like to work on that
for this book, and all the main characters, what's their hair, what do they look like, da, 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 da.
Oh my gosh, that would be so, wouldn't that just be so amazing to have?
Mm-hmm.
I would reference it all the time.
Yeah, I'd put it in my little binder and flip through it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you there's someone who does that. I wonder if there's a service.
All right, who's listening right now? Contact me.
Right.
We'll pay in signed paperbacks and swag.
Yeah.
How many unpublished or half-written books do you have?
Oh, God.
I knew your eyes were gonna bug out of your head.
Oh my God. A lot. Like
Guesstimate.
50, 70 easily.
Really? That many?
Yeah. And I'm fixing to actually go through and find all these old things.
Your Okie just came out. You're fixing to.
I'm fixing to go and find all these old unfinished stories and things that I cut out of certain books and stuff, and I'm going to start grabbing them for bonus content and stuff. So
that's smart, because you did B-sides and rarities, and that was like,
yeah, that was fun. I should
finished.
Yeah, it was a book full of unfinished stories.
Yeah. And I really thought I was going to be mad about reading that one, but I actually liked it.
I said it.
Then I was a little bit mad.
Yeah, it was kind of fun because it was like that was part of the charm of the book, because you would be like reading and reading, and then it just ends like mid sentence, and you're like,
yeah, mid sentence.
No. That was fun. I really should do something like that again, volume 2. Just
to frustrate some more readers. You can always give it your own ending.
True. Just write one in your head.
I think I have maybe 7 or 8 books that have 30 to 40,000 words on them. And then they're not even ones that I necessarily won't finish.
Right.
It's just that I start something and then I'm like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be working on this. I should be working on this. Yeah, I do have a few that I probably won't ever publish though.
But you never know. I mean, think about like some of the ones that I've done that with and then later picked up late, and went back to. I mean, think about it, like the Free. I started writing the Free right after
Forever.
I finished the Wild.
And
I published it like last year. So that means it went like 2 or 3 years. I don't know. I'm not good at math. 2 or 3 years unwritten. And then finally I just sat down and decided I was going to do it and then whipped it out. So, I mean, you never know, like your brain just may not be in the right headspace. Yeah. And then a lot of times if you would just stop what you're doing and just go reread back through what you wrote, you're like,
it would get you excited again. Yeah.
Yeah. And that just made me think of a story that I had started writing after my War and Peace series. I had a series that I was going to do, and it was going to be too taboo for Amazon. And I was like in all that hot water with the Wild at that point. So I forgot about it. But that would be great to have some bonus content and let people read, because it has some really good scenes that were just like super fire.
Yeah, you should. I'd read it. If you didn't write, what would you do for work? Would you still be banking?
No, I would have my own business doing something, anything. I would figure it out, because I feel like that I would do anything. I would do virtual assistant. I would do like anything, like, because I feel like this is like the era, the time to become an entrepreneur. Better than any time in my whole lifetime, because everybody can work from home. They can have technology, like all the things are at your fingertips, and nobody's telling you can't do it. You just have to go out there and make your way for it and do it. Yeah. And I just feel like if I didn't have writing as a talent, I would do something as a service or, whatever, but something that I got my own people, my own clients, set up my own systems and be my own boss. I like it. Yeah. The moth is back.
I'm going to buy you up at our property. We have this gun that shoots salt. Ooh. Like at a high rate of speed to kill bugs. And it's just salt. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to get you one of those.
I'm gonna like break things. Does it break glass?
No, I don't think it's that strong. For what I don't know. I mean, you'd have to have good aim. I don't know about that. You'd probably end up hitting your dog in the butt.
Did you know I used to be on the rifle team?
You froze up for a second.
Did you know that?
Hold on a second.
Oh, what about now? Can you hear me now?
We're gonna have to edit this little bit out because you're frozen completely.
Okay,
and you
hopefully it comes
sound
back on here.
digitized.
Hold on. Let's see. Should I switch my internet? No, that'll cut me off. Hold on. Oh, is it stopped? Did it stop recording?
No, I just snapped so Ty can edit it out.
Oh, are we back? Are we good?
Yeah, you're good now.
I was saying, did you know I'm on the rifle team? I mean, I'm not on it. I used to be.
You were on the rifle team?
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually shot guns?
Mm-hmm. I lived in Louisiana and I was in ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps.
So did you have to wear those, like the uniforms?
Mm-hmm. We had like dress uniforms and we had fatigues, and I hated the dress uniform because I didn't want to wear a stupid skirt, and I like to wear the fatigues because you got to wear combat boots. And
Please tell me there's a picture somewhere, please.
I'm sure my mom has one. I'll show you if I ever go over to her house. I'll look for it, but it's special. But I really enjoyed it. Oh, and I used to do the God, I can't think of what it's called now, but we had like a fake rifle.
Yeah.
That we would do routines with and throw it in the air and all this stuff. And I did that too.
And you caught the gun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, back in my younger days,
I'm having a hard time because you are not exactly the most graceful person in the world.
Because I'm old. That is why.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Next time you tell me you're going to your mom's house. Next time you tell me you're going to your mom's house, I'm going to make you find that picture because I need to see it. What was even the question that we were on?
We got distracted by that freaking moth.
Your
job.
Okay.
What are you going to be doing if you?
I was doing virtual assisting for authors before I started writing, and I'd probably still be doing that just because I don't like leaving my house. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I was doing para-educating at the elementary school, and I just don't think I'd have the energy for it. Mm-mm. Especially now that my kids aren't even in elementary school, I wouldn't really want to be there. Really, the only reason why I did it in the first place was just because I was too afraid that something would happen to my kids and I wouldn't be there.
Helicopter parent.
I am the worst, but yeah, so that's probably what I would be doing. What has been your hardest scene to write?
Anytime, and it's happened a few times, but anytime like a side character has to die, I have a hard time with it because I don't want them to die, and it makes me sad and I cry. But without their death, the story is not as. So I need it. I know I need it, but I don't like it. Even if they're sort of a bad guy, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. What about you?
Yeah. Conversion. Any scene that I had to be writing about what Gunner's dad was doing because he was a neo-Nazi, that was like just really, really painful for me because I had to almost be in his head to write those scenes. And that
disturbing.
Yeah, it was draining. It was really draining.
Yeah. Well, and there was a couple of parts with like Whispers and the Roars. There was certain characters
Yeah.
that they were only one-sided, and it was either pure evil or pure just dark depression that was just, no light whatsoever, like hopeless. And so there was like aspects of that was really hard, because it was like, ooh, get me out of that one, and
Mm-hmm.
next thing, because it was just it, like you said, it's emotionally draining and it's
Yeah.
stressful to write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be mine. Let's see. What's another one that we could talk about? Um, what's the most difficult thing about writing characters from the opposite sex? I already knew your answer before you before you started shaking your head. No, I already knew your answer because you love to write in a man's head. Like you love that POV.
I do actually. It's I prefer it over the female POV. So let's just pretend I'm a man for a second, and the reason I don't like the female POV sometimes is I just feel like they're sissies. They're big old sissies.
Yeah.
And I don't want to write them being a sissy or a wah wah. Like I want to write somebody a little bit different.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's harder for me to write female characters because then I feel like at some point they almost turn into me and I don't want it to be me.
Right.
So it takes a lot of extra work for me to keep them separate. But with a man's POV, like it's just so easy. Like I already know I'm not me.
Well, unless the female POV, like for me, I like to write like with Ash on the Cinderella trilogy. I liked writing her because she was like she was just really good at giving it back to Winston in like a funny way. So it was fun to like try to see if she could, outdo him. Even obviously I'm writing on both, but as a female perspective, if she could go toe to toe with this billionaire and, really make him think a lot of the times, so that was fun because it was more challenging to me. And it was like, I liked that kind of role, I guess.
Yeah. Does a big ego help or hurt writers?
I think it hurts if you have
Do
a
you?
big. Yeah, I do, because I feel like nobody really knows what they're doing and nobody feels 100% confident in what they're doing. So don't go around acting like you do, because I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. You obviously feel differently. What do you say?
I think it can only help you. I think if you present yourself like you are the shit and, everybody should be reading your books, people pick up on that energy and they'll read your books.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to have the story but we were just talking about this before we started recording, how you came across, or maybe it was like a comment or something like that, where the writer was saying, oh, nobody wants to buy my books. Nobody's going to want to read my books. Nobody, blah, 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 just down talking themselves.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get what you put out there,
Well, and
so
I get that. I think being confident is necessary to be an author, because you are putting out like very vulnerable pieces of yourself to the world to read and judge. So you need to like stand behind your product. But I guess when I think of ego, I just think of like someone who's like full of themselves, like, I'm so amazing, look at me go.
I almost think that will work for you.
Well, and then now that I think about it, I say a lot of the times, what did I say? You only got to reach one person, and that one person is me. I'm a super fan of me.
You are. You are. And you are very confident in yourself. You're much more confident than I am. And I think people are drawn to that.
Uh,
I don't think you're like an egotistical maniac. I just think like you can walk the walk and you can talk the talk and, you know.
So let's just call it self-confidence.
Yeah. But I even think it needs to be just a little bit more than that, because there's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
That want readers to read their books. So I think like having the magneticism, what's that word? Is that the word? I write books, so I know words. You have that when you have a bigger ego.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's something I'm working on.
Yeah. I think that you just definitely have to, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to think I'm an author. Like, I wrote a book or multiple books. That's pretty badass, man. Like, that is
I
cool.
think there's like a statistics that's like, I don't remember what the percentage is, but it's like 92% of all people that start a book don't finish it.
Yeah, like that's.
So you finished a book. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I could see how you could, feel pretty good about yourself. And, I guess I'm just confusing or mixing up whenever you see someone that's just like, they just seem like they're too
high and mighty.
Yeah, like they think so highly of themselves that they don't want to interact with their readers, or I don't know, you've seen those kinds and you're just kind of like, it's a turnoff. At least it's to me.
Well, I think like we get turned off by that, like in your face type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you Google yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you?
No.
I've been Googling myself for marketing reasons because I want to see
for your SEO.
Yeah, and I want to see what people are searching for, and that helps me like strategize what I want to talk about.
And that's how you found out that people were Googling Webster's husband.
Yeah, I know. And he's so disturbed by this, but he shouldn't, because he's like, we haven't gone to book signings in a while, but anybody who's been to a book signing where my husband has been there will know that he just likes to give people crap. He will, force you to come to our table even if you don't know who I am, and then he will try to coax you into buying everything and taking out a loan at the nearest bank so you can afford it all because it's many and you might as well buy some for your grandma too,
Mm-hmm.
So, and then he wonders why people, and I talk a lot about him, and he wonders why people want to know about him.
Yeah. I know Ty has Googled me because he's doing all of my website stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't think about it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will now.
Mm-hmm. You have to let me
know. Do you hide any secrets in your book that only few people will find or understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know of everything that I've snuck in there. My sister has found some stuff that, she knows about. My mom has found things that, and it's just meaningful to me, or maybe I'm mad about something, so I throw it down there. Or, I mean, even as silly as the whole trash can beside your bed thing, I stuck that up into the Feuds and Reckless Fury because we had such a talk about it, and nobody, I mean, I guess we talked a little bit about it on social media, but had we not, the only person that would have got it would have been you.
Yeah.
And so, just hide those little kernels. Oh, and think about Misty, the horse trainer.
Yep.
And
Misty the cat.
Misty the cat. And I think there's another Misty that I thought about the other day. I can't remember. I'll have to remember. But I came across another and I was like, there's another Misty in my book.
Yeah. I tuck you into mine too.
Mm-hmm. I got a ticket.
Yeah, you got a ticket one time.
Bohemian.
I do that all the time too. And actually, I got myself into trouble doing that.
Uh-oh.
In one of my biker books, I put something in there. It was like, I don't know, a code or something. And it just so I knew it was, but it was just like whatever numbers came to my head at the time. And my mother-in-law read the book and she was like, why would you put that in there? Now we have to change, this and this. And anyway, it turned into a huge thing with my mother-in-law because I wrote down my house code on accident in a book. Like I just thought of 4 numbers. And so then we all had to go and change our house codes.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I didn't realize it. Like while I was writing, it was like, okay, I need 4 numbers. What am I going to do? Blah, 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 blah. And then.
Oh my gosh. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah. So my mother-in-law got mad at me for that. But I do that all the time with different things.
Yeah.
And sometimes people find it.
And then you're like, oops, my bad.
Yeah. I put a lot of things about myself that people probably don't even know or would never even know or even probably want to know. But like if a character has a favorite color, it'll just be like my favorite color or my kid's favorite color.
Right. Well, and that's kind of why on my TikTok recently, I asked people to respond with what is like one of their weird quirks or their odd habits or strange things.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of really interesting things. And anybody who's looking for some odd things, go read up on that whole thread, because I was like, y'all are so strange, just like me. All have our weird little quirks, but it's like, when you start writing the same characters, you only think about your own quirks and all the things that you know. But then when you have some other people telling you theirs, it's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. It kind of like opens up a whole new world for you of weirdness that you can, inject into your stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I do need to go and read through that. I saw another author ask for people that they want to kill, so that they could put that person's name inside their book. And I thought that is freaking genius. I'm going to do that next time because I struggle with names. Like when I try and think of a name, only 3 names come to mind. And like the entire world of names does not exist to me. Like those are the only 3 I can come up with. So I thought that would be fun to do.
Yeah, that's funny.
What are you reading right now?
I'm still reading The Arc of Head Above Water by C.E. Ricci, and she probably thinks that I'm the worst friend in the planet because I haven't read it faster, but I haven't had much eyeball reading time, and it's an arc that's on my Kindle. So literally every time I wash my hair, or dry my hair, I read a chapter. So I'm like chapter every other day because I don't wash my hair every day. Anyway, it pops up in there, but then as soon as I get done, my husband wants me to watch shows or movies or whatever he don't want me to read, and that's really our only time together. So I try to honor that time. And so I've been listening to a lot more audiobooks, and because I can do that while I'm getting ready and cooking or whatever. And
I've said this a million times, but it just makes my heart so happy that you love audiobooks.
I know I am, and I'm loving. I'm doing so much better. I had a hard time getting. I feel like anybody who says I can't do audiobooks, that was me. And I feel like
you were really against it.
But I wanted to be an audiobook reader. I really did. And so I kept trying it. And then finally it's like I found a book that I really liked, and I ended up listening to it like 3 times. The series that I loved. And then I found some other books, and now it's like I'm starting to get in the groove. And I've learned with myself that if I will just get past the first few chapters, even if the voice is annoying me or they do a weird thing, then it's like I get used to it. And then I'm fine with it, and I'm into the story. And so anyway, the one I'm reading right now is called Ignite series by Nora Phoenix, narrated by Kenneth Obie. and I'm on book 2 in this trilogy, and it's really good. It's MMM, and it's End of the World. Remember I had showed you like that I wanted to read that, and
Yeah.
these 3 guys, they're like it's kind of like dystopian in the sense that the US is divided into 3 sections, and basically
Yeah.
the central US is they have made it a felony to be gay. So if you are, they put you in these reformatory type camps to retrain you and fix you or whatever. And so these guys, and they're abusive and just terrible stuff happens to them. Well, anyway, these guys are stuck in this camp and they're friends, and boom, a meteor shower hits. and the camp counselors, really they're wardens, but the counselors are like, oh wow, look at the meteors. And then the campers are like, let's bail, and they like kill all the counselors. And then they get some, anyway, they meet up with this other dude that they find, and he's real sweet and everything, and he was a survivalist. Like he came from a family that like they were doomsday preppers, and so he like knows like all this stuff. So they're like, you can join our little trio, but we're not letting anybody else in our group because, keep it small, keep it all. If you get too many people, then everybody fights and everything, and you seem trustworthy. So they allow this boy into their group, or man, I guess. And so there's the 3 of them, and so they escape, but now they're trying to survive. And then one of the meteors, they realize, is not a meteor at all, it's an alien. Boom. So now the EMP strike, it just eliminated all the electricity. So now they're having to survive. Nobody knows what's going on, but they know it's aliens because they saw one, and they're trying to get food, and there's just like all this attack. Meanwhile, they're also like having this attraction towards each other, all 3 of them. It's just so, I just love them. They're just so cute. Even, I don't know, I just love it.
How many books are in that series?
3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's, I love survival stories.
Yeah.
I love post-apocalyptic type stories and dystopian I mean, literally, I love MM. Like, they've literally crammed, I love aliens. They've crammed everything I love into a book series. And so, like, I'm there for it.
Yeah.
And you would hate the third person aspect, but
yeah, I have a hard time with third person.
But like you said before, that when you hear it, it's different, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I am on the second book in the Hades. I don't even know if it's called the Hades series. I just keep calling it that. The Tate James. It's like the spinoff of her Madison Kate series. And it's all a slow, each series is just like a slow lead up to the 3 of them being together. And I'm on the second book, and we are almost there. We are so close. I can taste it. And I'm so excited. I'm so here for it.
You're reading a basically a menage story too.
Yeah. Well, it's reverse harem.
Oh, okay.
So there's 3 of them. And one of the characters, Cass, is like, he's from the Madison Kate series, and he was just like my favorite, and he is still my favorite. And what's interesting about this is that the main character, Hades, she's like the leader of this crime syndicate, right? And she is just a badass to the core. And each of her relationships with these 3 men are just so incredibly different. Like with Cass, she is he dominates her, and he is like, so, I like that aspect. And then she's attracted to this younger guy too. He's like 18, and she's, in her 20s or whatever. And she is like the dominant one with him. And then there's the other guy where they're like more on a level kind of playing field. Like when they're working, he's her second in command. So when they're working, he's like super respectful. She makes all of the people that work for her call her sir.
What?
Yes. And I thought it would annoy me. It does not. I freaking love it. I'm like, yes, Hades.
And so
You do that.
Just at work or in the bedroom too?
Well, just at work.
Oh, okay.
Not in that. Well, she hasn't been with her second yet, so that could happen. Anyway, it's so good. And
You're listening to this?
Yeah, this is the one I'm listening to, and I'm just so addicted to it. It's hard for me to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to it while I was rearranging my office today. My kid walked in and she was like, I'll help you. And I'm like, please, can you not, so I can listen to this book? But no, I let her. And then I'm reading, and I saw this on TikTok, which is how I came across it, but it's a duet by Dylan Page, which I don't know who she is. Do you? Dylan Page?
I don't know. I'd have to see the profile. Like you can't throw
Yeah.
names. I can't, like, my brain goes blank. So
Yeah.
I have to see it on the computer, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I know who that is.
Well, I need to start following her on social media, but if I don't already, because this duet, it's called Torment Part 1, Torment Part 2. It is so good. It is so good. Like
The boss is back.
I have been, badass ROTC member is terrified of a moth.
I'm still dead. Go on.
It's MC, but it's not like deep into the MC aspect. Not yet, anyway. I'm still on part 1. I see you eyeing that moth your eyes. At this point, we should name it. It deserves to be part of the show at this point.
Called Dead Mofo in a minute.
We'll see. It might get the best of you. Get you in the middle of the night, land on your forehead.
No, because as soon as this is over, I'm going to make my son come up here and get it.
These kids have to be good for something.
Oh, exactly.
But it's like her, and I don't even know what the love interest is yet. Like, I don't know anything because, and I'm like 50% or maybe like 30% into the book. Mm-hmm. But she has this relationship with her stepbrother. It's not anything like weird or anything, like it's not a love interest at this point, but he's like really overprotective and controlling of her. And then the rival MC, she has this like secret relationship with him, and they like exchange notes under a rock under her window. Anyway, it's really, really sweet. And I can't tell whether that guy is a good guy or if he's like luring her to get to her stepbrother. And yeah, so I read that every night until I fall asleep, but it is so good.
I love that kind of, like, is that a trope? I don't know. I like that element of stories where there's a guy that's you really like, but you have a feeling that he's going to be a bad guy, but you kind of don't care. You'll still like him anyway, you know? Mm-hmm. And you've never probably read this series, but did you ever read Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead?
No.
Okay, well, it came around the Twilight era, and it was a different series. But anyway, the main character, Rose, she's like a badass, but she likes this guy. I think his name is Dante. I don't know. But you know what? I just never really liked him that much. I liked this other guy that she was seeing. His name was Adrian, and I thought he was fine and amazing. And he was a bad boy, and he like smoked all the time, and he was arrogant, and he was rich, and he just got me in all the right spots. And the other guy was just like too noble, you know? And I was like, go on with your noble self. Get guy, you know? And it was like one of those things that, spoiler alert, don't listen if you haven't read it, but Adrian didn't get the girl.
Oh.
And I was so devastated. But then Adrian got his own series, and I was like,
Oh,
yes! And
yeah.
then Better Girl for him. So, and I got to see him exclusively through that whole series.
Right.
He was the love interest, whereas the other one, he was just the side piece.
Yeah.
And I did like him as a side piece.
Yeah.
That's that all that being said is I like those kind of storylines where you've got like an edgy like character or whatever that, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm in a really good book place right now. Like I feel like I don't want either to end, because then I have to find something new, and I don't want to do that. I just want to keep going with this. So, well, that is all the time we have for today. It's gotten dark, and I didn't turn on a light, so now it's like a pitch black room behind me and just like my face glowing.
Yeah, it's turned into a horror podcast.
Yeah, right.
What's in that show?
Pretty soon you're gonna see someone walk through my door with a knife.
And I got killer moths attacking me.
Yeah. So I think that's a good place to end things today.
Yeah, I think we did.
Next week we will also not have a plan.
Right.
That may or may not include a guest who we will also not have a plan for.
Right.
And
we also need to remind everybody that if you like listening to our podcast, then make sure you are subscribing. And also, if you want to head over to our YouTube, you can subscribe and follow and all that good junk, because that means YouTube will say, oh, guess what? There's a new video and you guys can watch it. And I heard a lot of people who told me that they actually like watching the video of us better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we have a few people that like to do that. So
I feel like I should put a little more effort into my
I feel like
appearance now.
I feel like today we got it a little bit more together as far as
we did
our situation. And I feel like as we learn more about lighting and all this kind of stuff, eventually we're going to have like a cool little system going on. But, you know, it takes a little bit.
Maybe remember to turn on your light before you start recording, that kind of thing. Someday I'll be professional. Someday.
It wasn't your fault, because we were supposed to do it tomorrow and we had to, so that kind of snuck up on us.
Yeah, that's fine. So we will be back in 2 weeks' time. And thanks for joining us. Remember it. And also, if you want to read my books and take notes for me, let me know.
And before we get off, I was told this is a suggestion that we should do. We never really talk about how they can find our books, but you and I both are on Amazon. We're on, and I have some stuff on like Barnes and Noble and Kobo and all those, and our websites we sell signed paperbacks. So really, do you have something on your website that's like a list of all your books, or like a graphic that has all your books, or a page that has all your books?
We talked about that last time, about adding that to my website, and I never did.
Right. Okay. So, well, if they go, they can.
But all my books are there.
Right. They can just go peruse through your books, and I have the same thing. You can go like on my book list, and I even have like a little printable thing, and they can check them out. And so hopefully our websites should be a good hub for them to find out anything about us, or our books, or our podcasts, or our blogs, or our social media, like anything that they could possibly want to know about us should come from our website. So.
And I just put up a trailer for Bexley's Biker on the front page of my website. So go check it out. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. We will see you in 2 weeks, or I guess you'll see us.
Yeah.
We won't see you.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.